Welcome to Darkness, the Franklin Cover-Up. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research. In the late 1980s, a quiet Midwestern city became the center of one of America's most explosive and controversial scandals. Omaha, Nebraska. What started as a financial investigation into a failing credit union quickly spiraled into allegations of a nationwide child SA ring involving powerful politicians, businessmen, and even claims that reached the highest levels of government. This is the story of that cover-up. It all began in November 1988 when federal agents raided the Franklin Community Federal Credit Union. The institution, meant to serve Omaha's low-income community, had collapsed. Millions were missing, eventually traced to about $40 million in embezzlement. At the center of this investigation was Lawrence E. Larry King Jr., a rising Republican figure known for his connections, his singing at events, and his lavish lifestyle. But the raid uncovered more than just financial fraud. Rumors had been circulating for years about King. Social workers and victims advocates came forward, claiming King wasn't just stealing money. He was running something far darker, a child SA ring that supplied minors to the elite. Witnesses, many of them young people who had been in foster care or associated with Boys Town, the famous orphanage, described being flown on private jets to parties in cities across the country, including Washington, D.C. They spoke of being drugged, abused, and passed around at gatherings attended by prominent figures. Names of politicians, judges, and high-ranking officials were whispered. Some accounts even alleged satanic rituals and murders to silence threats. One of the most vocal accusers was Alicia Owen, who claimed she had been victimized as a teenager. Another key figure was Troy Boner and others who provided detailed testimonies. Former Nebraska State Senator John DeCamp, who later wrote the book, The Franklin Cover-Up, became deeply involved. He described a network that used vulnerable children from broken systems as commodities in a world of power and secrecy. The Nebraska legislature formed a special committee, the Franklin Committee, to investigate. Led by figures like Senator Loren Schmidt, they uncovered what they believed was evidence of a widespread abuse and a massive cover-up. Victims recounted being transported across state lines, used in blackmail schemes, and discarded when no longer useful. There were ties suggested to the Iran-Contra affair, money laundering, and even the CIA. But as the investigation deepened, strange things happened. Witnesses recanted under pressure. Others died suddenly, plane crashes, suicides, mysterious heart attacks. At least a dozen people linked to the case met untimely ends. A British documentary crew produced Conspiracy of Silence in 1993, interviewing key players and planning to air it on American TV. It was pulled at the last minute, reportedly due to powerful interference. Copies were suppressed. In 1990, grand juries in both Douglas County and federal courts reviewed the claims. They concluded the abuse allegations were a carefully crafted hoax. No widespread ring was found, and Larry King was convicted on financial charges and served time in prison. But the SA accusations were dismissed as unfounded. Accusers like Alicia Owen faced perjury charges. Official narratives pointed to overzealous investigators, false memories, or satanic panic influences of the era. Yet believers point to inconsistencies. Why did so many independent witnesses tell similar stories? Why the deaths and the intimidation claims? Books like Nick Bryant's The Franklin Scandal and DeCamp's work compile thousands of pages of affidavits arguing that the truth was buried to protect the powerful. The Franklin story didn't die. It echoes in modern cases like Jeffrey Epstein, elite networks, private flights, compromised institutions, and questions about who really holds power. Was it a hoax born of desperation and rumor? Or was it America's first major exposure of institutionalized child SA, swiftly and effectively covered up? To this day, the Franklin cover-up remains divisive. For some, it's a cautionary tale of how justice fails the vulnerable when the elite are threatened. For others, it's a warning against conspiracy thinking. But the questions linger. What really happened to those children? Who was protected? And in a world where power still shields the guilty, has anything truly changed? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Darkness. If you enjoy my content, please like, share, and follow for more.